We are live.
Yes, we are live.
Welcome, welcome. मेरा थोड़ा सा बफर हो रहा है. Give me a second. Let's start with the intros.
Yes.
Alright, welcome everyone. Finally आज है Axiom का डॉकिंग. कल हमने देखा कि कल I was not here. Dia was here. Thanks to her for filling in. And कल successfully launch हुआ. सारे stages were completed very well. And today we are finally in the docking space. तो आज भी पूरी डॉकिंग कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. And देखते हैं. Let's see what happens. First go no go आने में थोड़ी देर है. सो जैसे फर्स्ट नो गो आता है या गो नो गो आता है, हमें पता चल जाएगा कि डॉक्यूमेंट होने वाला है कि नहीं होने वाला है, या फिर वो नेक्स्ट टाइम अटेंड करेंगे. वन थिंग आई लाइक अबाउट स्पेसएक्स और इनका प्रोग्राम ये है कि दे आर वेरी लाइक व्हेनेवर यू आर रेडी तब करो. लाइक इट्स नॉट, देयर इज नो प्रेशर, देयर इज नो कि हम अब करेंगे या अब करेंगे. इट्स ऑलवेज वेरी, मतलब बहुत जल्दी जल्दी चीज़ें चेंज हो रही है, कोई एक पर्टिकुलर टाइमिंग नहीं है, विच इज़ काइंड ऑफ ओके ऑल्सो, बिकॉज कोई ऐसा प्रेशर नहीं होता है इंजीनियर्स पे भी और जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं उस पर भी. बट देन जो लोग हमारी तरह स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं उनके लिए प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि हमें पता नहीं चलेगा कब करें.
हाँ, exactly. That is true.
So we are your hosts today. I am Shukla and Jalal Dogra. We are students from the PU. We are studying biotechnology. And anybody who has, I'm sorry, अगर किसी ने भी आज के बाद बोला कि बायोटेक्नोलॉजिस्ट नहीं बन सकते स्पेस एंथुसियास्ट, तो
Yes.
नहीं सुनूंगा मैं. ठीक है, मुझे ये आज एक्चुअली कल ही डिस्कवर हुआ कि जिसकी वजह से हम ये पूरा स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं, दैट पर्सन is going up in space and doing biotechnology experiments.
And he himself is a bioengineer.
Yes. So Shubhanshu Shukla, थोड़ा सा मैंने repertoire देखा. He's a bioengineer. I am a fan of biomechanics. And so चार total experiments that he will be performing up there. Tissue engineering in microgravity, then there's space-based water purification systems, radiation exposure study, again physics, and air-controlled experiment platforms. तो ये चार चीजें. Um, this is great, I guess. मुझे तो एक्साइटमेंट है भाई, पता चले क्या चलने वाला
Definitely.
है. व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स? क्या लग रहा है कि कैसा चल रहा है अभी तक का प्रोग्राम?
It has been great. काफी स्मूथ लॉन्च हुआ है एंड कोई ग्लिच नहीं आ रहा है, वेदर डिलेज भी नहीं हुए, टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस भी नहीं हुए. ऑब्वियसली जो इनिशियल लॉन्च प्लान था हमारा, उससे हम काफी बाद में लॉन्च करें, बट ऑब्वियसली इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड कि सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशन सारे देखने पड़ते हैं. सेफ्टी मेजर्स लिए तभी हमारे सारे एस्ट्रोनॉट्स आर इन स्पेस राइट नाउ एंड दे आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर डॉकिंग. Other than that, Shubhanshu Shukla, though obviously he's making India proud. He's one of the first people to go in space. Not one of the first people. He's the second person going in space after Rakesh. And the fact that he is doing a range of experiments that focus on health and biotechnology and sustainability is actually really great. And I don't know a lot of people know this or not, but he's also working on a few experiments that are co-designed by students in India as a part of outreach programs, which which has actually made this mission a lot more collaborative and inspirational for the next upcoming generation and for people who are really interested in fields like aerospace and biotechnology.
एक्चुअली ये मुझे पता नहीं था कि ही इज ओनली द सेकंड इंडियन.
He is.
बीच में यार कोई भी नहीं था. दैट्स सरप्राइजिंगली.
राकेश शर्मा के बाद ये फर्स्ट है.
That's nice. How old is he actually? I don't know how old he is. Search. He's 39 years. He's young, bro. He's not that old.
He is not. He is young. I saw an interview जहाँ पे शुभांशु शुक्ला की mother was saying that how proud she is for Shubhanshu, and it was so overwhelming to see that She was so proud that an Indian is going in space, and it has been his dream since such a long time.
Indian moms are the best. Looking at if you
Definitely.
see, actually प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, इंडिया में कोई भी चीज फेमस होता है सबसे पहले माँ के मुंह पे ऐसे माइक लगा दिया जाता है, और
Yeah, that is true.
वो रिएक्शंस फनी भी होते हैं और ऐसे हार्ट वार्मिंग भी होते हैं, तो अच्छा लगता है.
Are definitely.
It's all good. I think first go आ गया, right? कि
फर्स्ट गो नो गो हो गया है, फर्स्ट गो आ गया है.
nice, nice, nice. Also, by the way, thanks to Serge for पिछले 2 दिन से he's watching the background of the stream and all.
Yes.
It's a lot
Shout
of
out,
work. Shout out,
shout
it's,
out to
it's a lot
Saharsh.
of work. और he has been doing it really well. थोड़े technical snacks आते हैं. It's ठीक है, we are starting off as well. So I think that's forgiving. But let's see what happens आगे क्या होता है. Come on,
कल का.
Mr. Yeah,
हाँ.
Shubhanshu is an Air Force pilot. Yes, I know
Yeah.
that. But मुझे नहीं पता कि he's that young. So I mean, I thought must have been retired or something. First after 41 years. I 40 साल, no one from India has been into space. Finally, this guy is there. Happy, happy. Very good. We see where the progress is.
अभी अराउंड 34-21 बाकी है. तब तक के लिए हम कल का थोड़ा रिकैप कर लें, कल क्या क्या
I
हुआ.
think there's a new docking time. पहला दिन वो आ गया है. I don't know. Let's start with the recap. Until then, yeah, I'm back to what we do.
Yes.
Take over. Jhalak, take over.
Sorry.
Take over, take over.
Yeah.
Kal ka-
ओके. मिशन ओवरव्यू का देख लेते हैं पहले. Axiom mission 4 is actually the fourth private mission to the ISS, organized by Axiom Space. It is a US based aerospace company which is doing this for a very long time with NASA and SpaceX. It's a mission which is another step to rise the commercial space flight. It's a long term goal to build the world's first commercial space station by the end of this decade most probably. Till then, the missions are helping to test the systems, to do research work, and give astronauts of other nations as well to get into space. The Crew Dragon spacecraft, which is developed by SpaceX, was launched yesterday using the Falcon 9 rocket from Florida Kennedy Space Center. It's a notable mission for one big reason. It includes international crew members, including astronauts from Europe and India, which is obviously very important for us because Shubhanshu Shukla, who is conducting some very innovative experiments, is a pilot in this mission. Baki, Falcon 9 lifted off smoothly yesterday. Within 9 minutes of launch, the first stage booster separated and made a perfect landing on the SpaceX drone ship. It is reusable, and that's what
Still,
makes SpaceX
still unreal.
revolutionary.
Still unreal कि कैसे वो एक ऐसा used rocket को catch कर सकते हैं. It's still like so.
It's such an innovative thing.
Incredible. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
The second stage took the Crew Dragon into the orbit, and it has been flying smoothly over there ever since. Since the launch, it has gradually adjusted in its orbit to line up with ISS for today's docking. It's currently flying in the low Earth orbit at an altitude of about 400 kilometers and traveling with a speed of around 27,000 kilometers per hour. And at any moment now, it will align perfectly with the ISS for the procedures of docking.
Okay. New docking time is 4 p.m. पहले 3:40 के आसपास था. It's going to make one more. Hopefully, wait. 4 p.m. There's 20 minutes of time that we have right now. Actually, I think there's a problem in OBS, which Saharsh is saying कि थोड़ा सा change करते हैं. तो
मिशन के बारे में बात कर लो जो रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट से अभी थोड़ा ब्रीफ
Research projects as in Shubhanshu Shukla, right?
हाँ हाँ हाँ
All right. We're back again, sir.
I don't
Yes. All right. We are back again. So we have about 15 minutes of discussion before talking starts again. पहला approach phase दिल briefing का है. तब तक हम बात करें शुभांशु शुक्ला के थोड़े मिशन से. So mainly चार चीजें that he'll be doing. First is tissue engineering and microgravity, studying how microgravity affects human tissue growth. This could help design better organ regeneration technique back on. I मतलब इसका एग्जैक्टली क्या एम होगा वो मुझे थोड़ा समझने में टफ हो रहा है बिकॉज माइक्रोग्राविटी ऑफ कोर्स अप्लाइड ह्यूमन ग्रोथ वो बहुत सारे पहले ही चीज़ें हो चुकी हैं उसके बारे में बहुत सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कर दिए गए हैं इन माइक्रोग्राविटी बट इफ दैट हेल्प्स इन बेटर ऑर्गन रीजनरेशन ये मैं पहले बताऊँ also organ regeneration is a completely like a very vast topic तो उसमें exactly क्या है they haven't mentioned. Second is space.
basically उसमें I read something that they are basically trying to understand how the muscles degenerate because पास्ट में जो प्रॉब्लम्स हुई हैं इन द स्पेस स्टेशन एंड मसल इसलिए मेजरली अभी उनका मेन फोकस इज टू स्टडी कि मसल डीजनरेशन कैसे बेटर हो सकता है या कैसे रिड्यूस हो सकता है उसका टाइमिंग इन ग्रेविटी दैट्स देयर मेन फोकस ऑफ स्टडी राइट नाउ इन दिस एस्पेक्ट
You know how this was studied back in the days of which we did. So there was this astronaut called Scott Kelly who was
ओके
sent. He stayed up there for almost about a year. And how they compared it to what happens down here is he had a twin with Michael Kelly. He
ओके
stayed down, and then when Scott Kelly and Michael Kelly दोनों से एक को ही so he came down. They did like their complete study की what is different. It was them जब they discovered कि so they knew कि space में जो है your height and gets a little you get a little taller.
या
But इतना like what was the extent they didn't know and जब like there was a easily there was 1-2 inches of difference in between for them. So वो बहुत ऐसा astounding था कि इतना सारा difference.
that
So
is something new
मतलब
for me to
that was
know
like
The
proper
updated
experimental
docking
basis पे
time,
वो लोग
you
सारा
heard
काम
the
कर रहे
words 10:30. That's 10:30
थे.
Zulu,
Funny to know
which
कि अब हम लोग वो सब
Central
celebrate
Time
करते
is
हैं जो भी होता
5:30, as we
yeah
mentioned, 5:30
है. Back in
a.m.
the back
Central,
was
6:30
on
a.m.
this one.
Eastern. As we return to that exciting view from
So
Dragon looking
next
up at the
was
International Space
space-based water
Station. You can
purification
ever so
systems
faintly
testing
see
advanced
the
filters and
solar
nanotech
arrays
based
coming
solutions that
into
could help make
view,
water security
and that strobe
in
light
space and in
illuminating the
rural areas.
radiators, which are
So I think this
right
is one of
along
those projects जो
that
students ने
central
ली
portion and
because it
angling
relates
upward.
like a very specific niche. Although rural areas of India might make up like 5% of the whole world
The International
population,
Space Station
but
and the Dragon spacecraft now
advanced
approaching
filters and
the
nanotech based solutions थोड़ा
west
it's
coast
been
of
a
North
long while since
America,
ये purification systems
right
exist,
around the
but they haven't
Seattle
been
area,
I
that
think tested
border
out
between the
in
United States and Canada, as we are
I guess it's
approaching
under
1 minute away
progress
from Waypoint
radiation
1,
exposure study,
the second
measuring how
checkpoint,
cosmic rays impact human
second
cells
series of
in space.
waypoints
This
for the
will help us plan
spacecraft
for better
to
long-term
reach
space
to.
missions
Teams have
like
already
Mars.
pulled go.
Of course,
Listen for the call
when we
outs
get
for that
exposed to
Waypoint
space, we
1
get exposed
arrival.
to
Dragon
cosmic rays.
SpaceX on the big
जो
loop.
Earth
Approach
तक तो
1
पहुंच
and
सकती
soft
है.
capture ring extension will begin shortly. Dragon will continue approach to waypoint 2.
Approach one,
As a
approach one will
reminder,
begin
manual
shortly.
impulsive retreat recovery is not permitted.
Manual impulsive retreat is
And
not
Dragon
permitted,
copies
so
all.
that means nice. Okay, they'll start the approaching sometime again.
yeah they are starting
There you heard
soon
One thing
communications
you
on
can
the
see,
big loop about
okay,
that
like you can
soft
see the
capture
hands floating
ring,
like this
and
in the
that
deck.
is the
You can see
initial
screen.
contact that will occur between
That's
the
because there's no
Dragon
gravity, so it's not like
spacecraft
the
and the
hand
International Space
because this
Station. A
mm.
soft capture, with that soft capture ring then
radiation
retracting and the
exposure
12
study में
hooks
so how that works is कि if we
that
are
will
planning
drive
ultimately
and
to go
connect
to
and form a
Mars,
hard mate
of
between
course we'll
the
have to have some
spacecraft and the
safety and
International
protection
Space
and
Station. From there,
against the cosmic rays
power
that might affect
communications
us.
will then be connected up.
Cosmic rays कैसे affect करती हो तो
NASA
हमें पता ही
astronaut
नहीं.
Nicole
Not
Ayers
really
will
great to get
make
exposed to
her way
those kinds of
to
high
the
radiation. But
pressurized
how we
mating
can control that
adapter
is
and get ready
AI
for
controlled
hatch
experiment
opening
platforms
procedures,
is the
which will
next one.
require bringing
It involves
the
using
vestibule,
artificial
the
intelligence to
space between
automate
the
and
two
analyze
hatches
biological
between
data
the
in real
International
time
Space
from the
Station
cosmic beam
and
for
Dragon Grace together.
this could actually
And there we see the
this
orbital
is
sunrise
really good. So they're
making
basically
its way over top of the International
automation
Space
of
Station.
the data that is being collected. So उसका
As they
analysis या उसका
continue their
connection?
pursuit of each other
It says
now,
analyzing.
angling over at North America.
Yeah, maybe both. I mean, they are gonna go for both, I guess.
But analysis automate हो गया तो that's the biggest thing I guess because भाई biological data analyze करने में किसी ने भी अगर कभी भी कोई experiments किए हो या कोई भी research किया उसको पता है कि it takes a long
And there in the
time.
center screen, if you
Yeah.
look at the topmost, pardon me, the Dragon now perfectly aligned
Even
over
10%
top
of
of
it,
the International
even the
Space
ideation
Station,
is
looking
automated.
down at that Node 2 Zenith port, and a great view just off the bottom portion there. That is the Dragon Endurance spacecraft
Those are the four
that
projects
will be just
that he will be
alongside
working
of.
on.
So
Docking के
Dragon has
time
reached
पे
waypoint
so the
0,
procedures
and
basically
on
है
initial
कि
comms earlier that the
the,
teams on the ground, once
जो
reaching
launch हुआ उसके
waypoint 1
बाद
part
we are
B,
orbiting.
have been allowed to bypass that waypoint and now move on to
And
waypoint
ISS is
2, which will
on.
be in
Of course,
about
there's
9 minutes from
distance.
now,
They have to close the
and
distance
targeting
slowly. They cannot
docking
just as an offset नहीं कर सकते
in about
distance
14 and a half minutes
because
from
of course
there.
there's a risk of crash and
Go
post
no-go poles for docking
altitude पे crash
in
होता
about
है
7
altitude
minutes as the teams on the ground
scale पे
continue
कुछ भी होना it's a
to
catastrophe.
monitor Dragon's
They do it
progress.
slowly.
And once
What
they
they do
arrive
is
to
once they
waypoint
are
2, there'll be a
aligned,
pause, make
they
sure
slow
everything
down
is
the
lined up
approach.
just
There's a
perfectly
zone
for
of
that
about
final
200
approach
feet around
and
the ISS,
docking.
200 meters around the ISS. Once you enter that, you are in a zone जहाँ पे ISS के you are in a very close proximity. When you start the docking, your speeds are almost aligned. It's like अगर Interstellar देखा है तो ऐसे बिल्कुल it is very unrealistic in Interstellar. It is a case जो like 1 in a million times में एक बार हो सकता है वो अगर उस speed पे approach करें. Here the speeds are so controlled and the docking इतना slowly होता है. It's almost like it takes years and years अगर वो ऐसे इतना धीरे-धीरे आता है ना if you see it in real time.
This is Mission Control Houston
But it's
as
fun to see.
Dragon
It's fun to
graced
see
the
कि
spacecraft carrying
we are
Axiom
thousands
mission
of
4
kilometers
and their
above
4 astronauts
where
continuing
east.
their approach to the International Space Station. They have just made their way
This type of
past
technology,
waypoint
we are
1,
matching speed
which had
up to a
them
centimeter,
at
up to every
220 meters
centimeter.
away from the
This is
space-facing
The amount
port
of
of the International
precision
Space
that this
Station's Harmony
requires
module.
to actually
And
make
now
it
on the path
successful,
to reach
it's
waypoint 2,
commendable.
teams on the ground have concurred or agreed that it will take a
Just
brief
feel
pause
it's
at
1 million
waypoint 2, which is 20 meters away,
Shubhanshu will be one
to
of the
make
few
sure
people who
everything
have
is
traveled in
aligned
every type of vehicle
precisely.
ever made
And
by
there you
humans.
see the view from
Yeah,
Dragon
it's
and
obvious
that
but strange, yes. And
newly
that's the
illuminated
beauty of being like in
International
your
Space
30s
Station
and
as the two
early
craft
20s.
Yeah.
You've
navigating
seen
its way over
everything. You've
North
seen the age
America,
of
coming
Noah,
into an
you've seen the age
orbital
of
sunrise and daytime period.
So yeah, obvious but strange. Yes. It's a great time for technological advancements. Like 40 years पहले, the only plan was put a man on the moon. That was their plan. That's what he said. Na? The president. Who was the president? He said we'll put a man on the moon not because it is easy, but it's because it's hard as it. And then in 1969, they put the man on the moon. After that, of course, उनको समझ आ गया कि वो सिर्फ नॉवल पहले तो नॉवल्टी चला गया एंड सेकंड कि इट इज बहुत महंगा है इंसान को मून तक जाना एक बार यू गेट द रिसोर्सेज फ्रॉम देयर यू कैन जस्ट कंटिन्यू रिसर्चिंग ऑन देम फ्रॉम हियर rovers are much more cheaper and of course the technology advanced the humans in space have in general just reduced ISS is a great way to continue your experiments I think in तरीके से so that is
Station
where
on the big
most of
loop.
the humans have
Dragon
been in
attitude
space.
is still as expected.
Very less people have
And station is
left
ready
the
for
Earth's
docking.
orbit and gone out like for example.
Yeah.
Houston copies.
20.
At waypoint 2, Dragon will briefly pause to align for docking, then automatically resume approach.
Okay, station is ready for docking, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Go again.
Station copies.
Okay, docking alignment शुरू करेंगे and then कुछ किया जाएगा. Good. Sadly, 2031 में ISS will be decommissioned. I mean, look, it's been up there for like 30 years now, right? So
Aram से yes.
makes sense. Yeah, ठीक है. It's a lived its life cycle. Now we go ahead. And And you are forgetting about submarine that can
You
only
just
go
heard
down.
great communications on the big loop from
I
station
mean, if
in
he's an Air
Dragon,
Force
as well
pilot,
as
he
the
might
teams in
have
Houston
been in a submarine.
and in Hawthorne for SpaceX and NASA,
Possible.
as the
So,
Dragon
they're
Grace spacecraft continuing its approach to the International Space Station, carrying Axiom mission 4 Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of ISRO, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA,
Dragon
and
SpaceX
Tibor
soft capture re-extension complete. Dragon will continue through waypoint 2 without a hold.
Second copy, no hold at waypoint 2 and good rating extension.
Okay, waypoint 1 हो गया है, waypoint 2 पर जा रहे हैं. Continue.
Yeah.
Great communications there. They were anticipating a brief hold to make sure everything aligns, but
Hi.
Dragon Grace continuing
Both Dragon and ISS travel
on
at a
what has
speed
been so
of
far so good. A great
26,000 kilometers per hour. And they're still
rendezvous with the International
incredible
Space Station. They
engineering.
will proceed to continue past waypoint 2.
Yeah, altitude is 423
And you also heard in
kilometers
the
and the speed is
communications with
26,480
See the
kilometers
the
per
station
minute.
ready for docking.
Yes, you can. Also, वो नीचे एक छोटा सा like there's a small graphic there जहाँ पे बार-बार lights जल रही है ना.
And
Those
a
are
great
the
view
ways
of
they're
the
using
SpaceX Dragon
the
Grace
compressed
spacecraft
air
making its
Yeah.
glacial approach to the International Space Station. And the view from
So
the
there are
space
hatches.
station
Okay. एक
looking
hatch
up
होगा ISS पे, एक hatch
as it
होगा
approaches
इनके,
the space-facing or node to its
they'll
zenith
align,
port
they'll
of the
lock.
Harmony
So
module.
there are like multiple locks over the place. They'll lock, and then they'll pressurize. So in that way, it will become one
We are about
full
4
big
minutes away
entity
from the
instead of being
waypoint
two
2
small.
arrival, which again
I
they are
mean,
expected to
ISS is
move
much smaller.
right past through without a hold. That is at the 20-meter mark, and proceed right on into docking, a soft
4 minutes
capture,
away
and then
from the
ring,
waypoint to arrival.
Yes.
soft capture ring with
Yes.
traction
Just
and
a few
hooks to
minutes
drive.
more.
And that capture, about 8
Dragon
minutes and
SpaceX on the big
47.
loop. Ground is go for approach 2 and approach is now allowed. Reminder, ensure that visors are closed
4
prior to
minutes
Dragon's
away
departure from the
almost.
waypoint. Once
And
Dragon
then
is
it will be
inside the crew
history.
hands-off point, retreat and
Approach
breakout
2
are
has
not
been
permitted.
Yeah.
allowed. Really close. We are at
Dragon copy, and we have
26,481
visors down,
kilometers
and
per
we are
hour
go for
at
docking as
423
well.
kilometers
And
per
copy
hour.
on the approach.
Approach 2 is
Inside
allowed
2,
now, which
shot.
means we are really close. Let's
SpaceX
hope
copies,
all
visors
goes well.
down,
We are able to
SpaceX crew is go for docking.
and those guys are released into the ISS. And so, of course, एक छोटा सा interview होता है, which is where I think उनका as soon as
All
they
great
are entering
communications there
the
as
space
the
station,
communications from the ground up
the
to
tradition is to have a
SpaceX
small
Dragon
interview
Grace
with the ground
spacecraft,
station.
as visors
Yeah.
are down on the 4 astronauts
And it's
inside,
perfect,
as they continue their approach to the International Space Station, now nearly
no time for caution.
7 minutes away from that
They're gonna
initial
crash ISS
contact.
point 2031. This speed.
Dragon
Why-
International Space
I don't
Station
get the
now
point
making
of
its way over the northernmost
Any
territories
cover,
of
like,
North
why
America
not
and
go
Canada,
closer to land? At
and
least you
towards
can
the
recover
Atlantic
parts from
Ocean, as we are now
कुछ तो
7.5
recoverable होगा.
minutes away from
It's $1
the
billion that would just go
approximate
down.
docking time.
They might have their
Dragon
own
will
plans.
move smoothly past waypoint 2, about
I mean,
20 meters
If we've
away.
made reusable rockets, तो ऐसा एक और थोड़ा research और हो reusable space station बनाए.
And continuing its fine-tuning and approach, you see little plumes coming off the spacecraft.
और
The
ये space station
those
को
thrust
नीचे लाओ
fires
repair करो वापस
continuing
ऊपर
to
ले जाओ.
inch and adjust the spacecraft towards the orbiting laboratory.
So, couple of facts about this axiom. Let's get into that. जब तक ये complete हो रहा है. I'm sure कि ये सब कल भी discuss हुआ होगा, but I was
bigger
not here.
from the viewpoint of the International
So,
Space Station.
One of the
As
great things is
waypoint
कि कुछ
about
भी
90
there's
seconds
nothing
away,
that went
and there it'll
wrong.
be just
Every
under 20
sensor has
meters
worked
away.
as it was.
And there,
And,
the spacecraft will
intended to.
focus on aligning
There
its
is
docking system.
there are delays there were
docking
technical
adapter.
glitches. It's I think one of the smoothest
Fly in
smoothest
to make
sails
the
that we've
initial
had.
contact and give us what we will call that soft
Now orbit
capture. The
adjust
soft
to
capture ring will retract.
Second stage
And the hooks will drive to form the hard mate. That capture, that initial contact, coming in about 6 minutes from now.
Now we are very close to docking. Let's see what happens.
We are, yeah.
The docking procedure is fully autonomous. Crew Dragon will align itself using radar and visual sensors, but the crew can take over manually if required. अभी के लिए वो मना किया गया है. It is not जैसा हमने इनके रेडियोस में सुना कि manual override has been not disabled. It is not advised right now क्योंकि जो भी चल रहा है अभी के लिए जो autonomous system है ढंग से काम कर रहा है. वो wouldn't want.
Approaching 30 seconds away from
Docking sequence
waypoint
track
2
and meter
arrival.
solar on screen. नहीं. Don't do that.
The
Don't do that. Don't do that.
spacecraft will be about 20
Let
meters
it
away,
be.
just called
Let it
out
be.
30 meters,
It
so
won't be.
continuing its
Let's not ऐसा
close in to the
ऐसा
International
signal
Space
मत करो
Station.
उसको. Shukla is also piloting. You can't stop him. It's fine. ठीक है था. But I think piloting is completely autonomous as of right now.
Dragon Grace now
Let's see
25
if they
meters
need the
away.
manual override. If they don't, this would be like a great achievement. This would be the first time he completely autonomous docking. Well, last time, what was the crew? The two-man crew that went in, like from NASA, जो SpaceX का पहला या दूसरा private launch था, where the alignment was autonomous and then like the docking was manual. It was being like very close to monitor. वो भी मैंने पूरा like it was at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. but मैं देखा था. So it was the first time it was happening. So let's see what happens here. It's getting closer and closer. भाई साहब कितना
Dragon has
ऐसा
now reached the
ऐसा
waypoint
वेट
2,
में
20
ऐसे
meters away
butterfly
from the
होता है
International
ऐसा
Space
feel.
Station,
Okay.
and will
I think
continue
there's
its approach
some
to the International Space Station.
They have started their procedure.
yes 20 meters away now.
Yeah.
20 meters away
There you
and
can see a
thrusters
great
are
view
going
of that
berserk. सब एक साथ fire
zenith
हो रहा है
port, that
ऐसा
space-facing port of the International
Yeah,
Space Station's
so this
Harmony
this
module.
view that you're seeing is their
The
perspective
Dragon
towards the
spacecraft
space
right now
station.
sitting at waypoint 2,
They're
just 20
approaching
meters
the
away.
So,
And at station per step 4 in block Bravo. Dragon attitude is as expected.
Houston copies.
It has been confirmed
Station
that
Houston on the
everything
Big
is
Loop. Dragon is on final approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 and 1.102.
Station copies, monitoring per steps 5 and 6.
And there you heard it. The final steps relayed up to the crew for final approach and docking have been given as we continue to see Dragon Grace spacecraft close the gap between them and the International Space Station. Now, just before the spacecraft reaches the international docking adapter for that soft capture, you'll hear the call out CHOP or crew hands off point, which Dragon will continue its journey and make that initial connection, that soft capture, in those final few moments.
SpaceX Dragon, 10 meters.
10 meters.
Inside 10 meters, a little less now than 30 feet away, is all that separates Dragon Grace from the International Space Station.
अरे यार ये लोग भाई मेन स्ट्रीम में ना लोग सिर्फ वोट कर रहे हैं डायलॉग्स इंटरस्टेलर के बस क्या टाइम पास कितना कितना अनसीरियस जनरेशन है कितना approaching finally. ऐसा देखने में लग ही नहीं रहा कि ये 26,000 की स्पीड पे चल रहा है.
Exactly.
5 meters.
5 meters.
5 meters.
So the stream is about 15 seconds delayed from the original.
15 to 17 seconds.
Alright. Okay, we're almost there. भाई दोनों एक फ्रेम में.
3 meters.
We're almost there. Hey, एक्सपोजर को क्या हो गया? अरे ठीक करो इसको. अरे भाई बीच में ऐसा कौन करता है?
इसको देख के सही में नहीं लग रहा है that it is approaching the ISS with 26,000 plus speed.
2 meters, chop.
2 meters.
We have chop.
भाई लाइट
1
बंद कर दी.
meter.
1 meter.
1 meter.
Let's go. There we go. I can see.
Yeah.
And
We just need
it's almost there.
one go that says that the docking is successful.
Dragon contact and soft capture
Lock
complete.
complete. Please say.
Capture complete. Yes.
There we go.
Let's go.
So
I
tough one is
literally have goosebumps. Oh
Yes.
God.
Dragon Grace and the Axiom Mission 4 crew have arrived to the International Space Station.
All
at
right. So the
5:31
next part
a.m.
is
Central Time
sealing the
over
entrance.
the North Atlantic as the two orbiting around the
Should
Earth,
take about 10 to 15 minutes.
connecting with the soft capture ring, and now we'll begin the ring retraction to bring
It's around
the two
North
vehicles
Atlantic,
closer
right?
together,
Atlantic
and then
right
the
now.
12 hooks, the two sets of 6,
Ring
will drive
retraction
to
in
form a
progress.
hard nut. And there you heard there, the soft capture ring
As you heard,
is
so there are 12
retracting,
hooks,
and
6
then
on
will do
this
so
side, 6
until
on this side.
sensors are
They
indicating
interlock
it's time
basically.
for those hooks to
And
drive
why
in
is that
place and give us
important?
a hard capture
Even one
and
of the
firmly
hooks is
secure
off their
Dragon to
place.
station.
Even if it is at like 2 centimeters off, it won't be able to create a seam. There will be a leak, which will eventually,
And
which is
again,
not right because which is not
Axiom
good,
Mission
because there's
4
such a
is
pressure
Commander
difference.
Peggy
तुम
Whitson, pilot
airplane में जाते
Shubhanshu
हो, इतना
Shukla
pressure
of
difference होता है
ISRO,
कि if you try to open your
and
emergency
mission
exit,
specialist
इतना
Sławomir
pressure
Znański
difference,
Wiśniewski,
darting pressure.
and Tibor Kapu
So that's very
of
important
ESA
to
and Hunor have
it's very
arrived to
important
the
to have
International
that
Space
seal right.
Station
Once that's
with
installed,
contact
it
at
is covered
5:31
by a
a.m.
second
Central,
cover,
6:31
so that
a.m.
you
Eastern,
reach
as the
the
two were
electrical
orbiting
grid.
over the
Then the
North
hatch doors are
Atlantic.
open and you can go into the space station.
I'm just fascinated by the fact that all of this was automated.
Yes, nothing manual override.
No human intervention. Nothing is manual.
And completely automated. Must. Wow. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. And we are just ignoring the fact कि वो background में जो blue दिख रहा है वो Earth है.
Exactly.
ऐसे जाता जा रहा है पीछे.
The
17,000
soft
की
capture
speed,
ring, that
17,000
initial
feet.
contact between Dragon Grace and the International Space Station
17,500, I
to
guess.
retract, and we'll
Basically,
wait
ऐसा
for the
खाली
calls that the sensors read that it would be time for those 12 hooks on the Dragon to then begin driving and connecting itself to form a hard mate to the International Space Station.
So they're just confirming that everything is in place, and then we'll start the mating system. Whatever it's called. Mating system is also as far as I know.
हाँ, I guess. Earth के सामने ISS इतना छोटू सा लग रहा है.
ISS is like what, 2 football fields, right? Or the size of 3 football fields, something like that. Which is, and most of it is just machinery and all.
Yeah.
ऐसा humans के लिए अंदर बहुत ही कम ही जगह है.
Hmm.
But fun facts, a couple of things that I know about ISS, space station, और बाकी लोग को भी पता होगा. There's treadmills with bungees on them. You have to You have to run on them for like 2 hours every day to maintain your body weight because you lose your bone density and basically a lot of body weight in zero gravity.
Okay.
Their sleeping packs are straight up. They're not in half space when there's no ulta seater. So they just pull themselves in two straps and then they
Mm-hmm.
sleep. And so, contrary to nahi, actually, according to some popular myths, there is also an emergency ejection system that is there. So there's a pod, जहाँ पे if there's emergency, all
Ring
of them have
retraction
to
complete.
connect.
Docking
And
sequence
how
is
did
holding
you
for NCS
made this from
reconfiguration.
trees and stone? Why trees and stone? We taught sand how to think. We taught silicon how to think. That's it's a ultimate.
Humans have definitely come a long way.
भाई क्या अपन लोग नीचे ये सब छोटी छोटी चीजों के लिए झगड़ रहे हैं बढ़िया चल रहा है अच्छा let's see what
This is
happens.
Mission Control Houston.
This
As
procedure
you
takes
are
about
seeing
15
a live
minutes.
view
Are we
of the
streaming?
recently
Search. Are we streaming
connected
there?
Dragon Grace spacecraft with the Axiom Mission 4 astronauts and Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla, Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski, and Tibor Kapu arrive to the International Space Station. Soft capture and contact at 5:31 a.m. Central Time, 6:31 a.m. Eastern, as the two were orbiting above the North Atlantic. And right now, the two mated with that soft capture, the soft capture ring retracting to pull the spacecraft closer to the International Space Station. And once given the go, the ring or the hooks around the Dragon nose cone will drive and connect to form a hard mate.
So soft document complete हो गया. Complete attachment is what's left.
Teams on the
I do
ground
not know
in
how
both
much
Houston.
Station Houston on the big loop. MCS configured. Proceeding with hook driving.
अभी going to shoot.
Station copies.
And the great call there, that's the next step in this docking procedure, is the driving of the hooks, the 12 hooks surrounding the nose cone or the nose of the Dragon spacecraft. And we'll monitor those. They'll drive in 2 sets of 6.
तो सोच हम लोग को यहाँ पे goosebumps है. What are those people in the
First set
ground
of
station
6 right
and
now, they're
inside the
traveling.
spacecraft?
And we'll continue to follow along as the
क्या चल
docking
रहा होगा?
process
और तो
continues
सोचना
on.
there's nothing they can do. It's all automated. So you have nothing to do. ऐसे मतलब you have to
They're just sitting and
And after
looking
that
what
first set of
the
6, the
process
second
is
set
happening.
chill
will
है.
drive
ऐसे
and
ऐसे
connect
बनाओ ताकि अपन को ऊपर जाने में
Dragon
बड़ा
to
नया
form
करना.
a hard mate to the
दो
International
चार
Space
रोबोट भी बना दो
Station.
कि अपने आप ही
And
वो
once the
पूरा
docking
assemble
is
करें
complete,
spacecraft और भेज दें.
NASA astronauts and McLean and Nicole
पहले से
Ayers have
register
been
को
monitoring
कुछ नहीं करें,
from the International Space Station from the cupola of the Dragon's arrival. It'll be Ayers that'll begin the hatch opening or hatch operations.
They've been sitting there for more than
They'll
29
start by opening the main hatch on the No. 2
Is it allowed to watch Netflix?
section of
Is
the
it allowed to
Harmony
watch
module.
Netflix?
That's what you see Dragon.
अगर उनके पास
2.
डाउनलोडेड होगा तो
And
देख
what's
तो सकते
separating
हैं.
that module and
They
the
are
Dragon
on NASA
spacecraft is that
speeds of internet. They don't need it downloaded.
हाँ वो भी है तो फिर obviously allowed ही होगा.
SpaceX वहाँ पे उसने पूरा Starlink बना दिया तो बोले डाउनलोड कर like what? That's not happening. मेरी तो कमर कर दिया भाई तू जीरो ग्रेविटी में ना
I would
that first
enjoy
set of 6
watching
hooks
Netflix with a cup
forming that
of
hard
tea
mate.
and I'm just looking at Earth.
मस्त
क्या
And once
aesthetic
the
हो गया
full
है.
set of 12,
having your morning cuppa in
Ayers will continue
front of a window
the
that
docking
just shows
procedures
the
with
whole
the
Earth.
leak checks and
Exactly.
begin making its
कोई
way to
पता
the
है कभी तो
pressurized
डाले
mating
ट्विटर पे
adapter.
सोच
That's
रहा हूँ शुभांशु शुक्ला ऊपर कुछ देख रहे
what
हो
you see
ये भाई
between the
लोड
Harmony
नहीं हो रहा इधर
module
से इलोन भाई आपका नेट
and
स्लो
the
आ रहा है
Dragon
इधर थोड़ा
spacecraft
कुछ हेल्प कर दो
and access into there
Tweeting
to then
थोड़ा
what we
help
begin
चाहिए
pressurizing
पर
the
network ठीक
vestibule,
करो.
that small compartment between the two
उधर भी
hatches.
वोडाफोन ही है
That
थोड़ी देर
vestibule has
बाद
been
ट्राई करता
exposed to
उधर
the
भी
vacuum
वोडाफोन
of space prior to Dragon Grace's arrival. So the next step is to carefully reintroduce that air and pressure inside so it matches both that of the station and the Dragon spacecraft. And we just received confirmation that the first set of 6 hooks have driven and closed, and we'll now begin the second set of 6 to continue that hard mate between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station.
Do we have time to stream the hard docking also? Their entry or? We should, I guess. बारिश से next one. अच्छा. You're above the clouds. बारिश.
बारिश तो कैसे ही.
अरे सहज बकवास कर रहा है खाली इधर चैट पे. How much time is there for hard docking? Yeah, I think.
If you are just joining us, this is Mission Control Houston, where Axiom Mission
How
4
long
or the Dragon Grace spacecraft have connected to the International Space Station at
I guess
5:31 a.m.
10
Central
minutes.
Time, currently in the process from soft capture to the hard
Roughly
mate
10 to
to the
20
orbiting
minutes.
laboratory. First set of 6 hooks have closed, and now monitoring that second set of 6, 12 in total, to form that hard mate.
The process has been
Or
started
if,
for hard capture.
after hard docking, the crew still has to wait for pressurization, leak checks, and system integration before opening the hatch. This can take another 1 to 2 hours.
The pressure system.
That's what I was.
They have initiated that. They have initiated the process.
But leak checks and all, it takes time. I know that.
Yeah.
मैं थोड़ा स्पेस डेब्री आ गए सफाई वालों को बोला उधर भी बीएमसी जा रहा है साफ सफाई के लिए करने के लिए बीएमसी उधर कैसे पहुंच गया
बीएमसी को बुलाया तो कुछ भी होने से हार्ड कैप्चर
is
completed.
Hard capture is complete.
And we just
so
heard
the hooks have
confirmation
driven
there.
in.
All
Now
12 hooks have closed, and that is a hard mate
checks and all.
to the Dragon Grace spacecraft and the International Space Station, completing from soft capture to that hard mate.
There we go.
And these
All 12 hooks have been closed.
So the soft capture ring retraction in progress, and then it'll be on to establishing umbilical connections between the spacecraft and the International Space Station. That'll allow for the transfer of communications and power through those umbilicals. So we're Dragon, you see that upper portion that's mostly black against the vacuum of space, but that's the solar arrays to provide Dragon power. Once those umbilicals are connected, that power will then be provided by the International Space Station. And communications will have that hardline connection with the umbilicals as well.
Yeah.
बीएमसी वाले वहाँ पे बेटा करके आ जाएंगे वहाँ पे आईएसएस में गए कि सर क्या किया सर एक पॉडी गायब कर दिया इन लोगों ने पता नहीं
और अलग कई और प्रॉब्लम्स खड़े करके आ जाएंगे और नया ही प्रोजेक्ट चालू कर देंगे बिफोर कंप्लीटिंग
उधर भी रास्ते पे क्या उधर अपने स्पेस स्टेशन में झाड़ सर्व कर रहे हैं भैया ये स्पेस
inside station and inside the Dragon spacecraft, about 14 psi. What you experience here on Earth is sea level.
BMC, I know that.
And then from there, the hatch operations will continue.
By the way, do you know
Mission
this is
4
very
team
big news, but
will make its way on board the International Space Station with
internal
welcome remarks
so they started building a bridge called Bokle Bridge. ठीक है इधर से स्टार्ट किया बना इधर से स्टार्ट किया बना दोनों बीच में मिला ही नहीं ठीक है तो they broke it again and they're making it again बहुत ही funny है
अरे भाई and you know they are building that now they have started a project of Ferris wheel
again to connect
Mumbai has started BMC has initiated a project of Ferris wheel जो लंदन जैसा कॉपी करने का ट्राई हो रहा है
मेरे को ये
रोड्स और मेट्रो अभी तक नहीं बना
मेरे को ये बता हाँ तुमसे मेट्रो बने रही तुमने पूरा शहर खोद दिया ठीक है the only way to ऐसा to make great new infrastructure it cannot be the only way कि तुम पूरा पुराना सब तोड़ ऐसा थोड़ी होता है
they want a higher point to observe all the खुदा things that they have made
and
Ferris wheel बना रहे सारे
per 4.400 in parallel.
Kentucky, docking complete, 4.012 and 4.0.
So docking is complete. It is complete. Now the cabin configuration and all post docking.
Great station. We are excited to welcome you, Peggy, Shu, Suave, and
There we
Tibor.
go.
We cannot wait to open the hatch and give you
Cool.
guys a head.
So this
We'll
was the
see you
final
soon.
message from the crew.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
And Axiom 4 from Houston, welcome aboard the International
All
Space
right,
Station.
cool.
It's an honor to
So,
have you
अब
join our outpost of
post-docking
international
processes,
cooperation
post-docking
and
analysis जो भी
exploration.
जितना इनका fetch रहता
We are honored to be here. Thank you.
है.
Yes. Nice.
There was the welcome message from the people who are already on board the ISS, and that was them acknowledging their
Very
welcome.
exciting moment for all
And so
those
finally
aboard.
docking is complete. अब basically hatch खोलना बाकी है. उसके पहले बहुत सारे leak checks होते हैं. There's a lot of pressure checks. There's a lot of configuration checks. And all very
This
happy.
will take around 60 to 70 minutes
Yeah. So
for all the confirmations to receive. जिसके बाद the hatch will open
then
and the
we'll have
crew will be welcomed.
so a regular thing. If you see someone else from your own planet after 6 months, it's a
Yeah.
good moment for you.
Another human being.
Finally, when especially जब like the station is always meant to have at least 2 people on board.
Yeah.
And उसके अलावा it is also meant to have I think one so one of the ground stations has to have always have to have a contact with the space station. There cannot be radio silence at any given point of time. Either one of the 3 or 4 stations that they have, ground stations. So massive congratulations to SpaceX, to Shubhanshu, Shukla and the other crew members and
Yes.
ISS. This is a big achievement. एक बार
This is
चिल्ला दे.
Mission Control in Houston. and
उसके लिए
exciting
Discord
moments
ज्वाइन
here
करो. Hey,
at
Discord.
NASA's
You know what,
Johnson
हम लोग
Space
Discord
Center,
community
International
थोड़ा सा
Space Station
expand
Flight
कर
Control
सकते हैं.
Rooms, as well as the teams at Axiom Space, also in Houston, and in Hawthorne, California, and SpaceX as Axiom Mission 4, the private astronaut mission with Peggy Whitson, who you just heard talking on the big loop, the single line of communications between all 4 parties, sharing her excitement as she returns to the International Space Station, bringing up first-time flyers and pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of ISRO and mission specialist Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA and Tibor Kapu of Hunor. Contact between the two, between Dragon Grace and the International Space Station at 5:31 a.m. Central Time.
Oh, okay. So there's 3
And
space
now
stations.
that
Yeah.
the hooks have connected, all 12 and
Peggy
umbilicals
has been there once,
and
I
umbilicals
guess,
deployed,
before this.
providing power and
Other
communications.
than that, all
Now
3
the
are
team
new.
inside the International Space Station, namely Nicole
Nice.
Ayers,
All right. So
is going
I
to
think
start beginning
this
the
is
hatch
very
opening
detailed. I
procedures.
just stopped.
Yeah.
It's been
And now
first of all,
they're
सबको
done, she will
congratulations.
secure some hardware and then
Congratulations
move
to
right into those
SpaceX, to
operations.
ISS, to ISRO, to NASA,
First, we'll
and to
open the large
Axiom
hatch
crew.
at the Node 2
It's a
zenith,
great
or the
achievement.
space-facing port
Congratulations to all the
side of the
engineers
Harmony
and scientists
module.
that have been
That's what you see.
And
sort of
you know
where
what?
that
छोटा सा
NASA logo
congratulations
is.
to us
That's the
and
Harmony module,
Saroj.
that pressurized mating
Smoothly हमने
adapter
stream किया. This
is
was
jettisoning up
probably the second or the third time that we
into
tried.
and
Third
connecting
stream
to
on our
the
channel.
Dragon
Yes.
Grace
And,
spacecraft.
We are also new. Our club is just 3 years,
From there, she'll
3
traverse
and a half
into
years
that
old.
pressurized mating adapter.
We are a new club
Begin
in our
pressurizing
college.
the vestibule, which is that small
Hello,
space
hello,
between
hello
the
everyone
hatches
who's
on
joining
Dragon
us
and the
who
space
has
station.
joined us. Thank you for being here.
And we talked about this has been exposed
So a
to
couple of
vacuum
things
prior to
again,
docking,
our club, it's very
and we'll
new.
need to
We are on Instagram.
fill that space
We
with
are
air to
trying
make
to
sure that
expand our
pressure is
horizons into
equal
basically
with
teaching
the
people
atmospheric
more
pressures on
about
Dragon
space.
and the International
हम लोग
Space
हमारा
Station,
personal
also putting
development
away
का
some
जो
hardware in the process, including the docking across.
space designs वो तो चल ही रहा है. But उसके अलावा our aim is
Ayers
to
will use a
basically
small valve on the
build
station
a
hatch
society
to
of people of
slowly introduce
enthusiasts.
that air into the
That's what
vestibule.
we intend to do.
Flight controllers here in Houston will continue to
Yes.
monitor the pressure and
I guess
temperature
we are on our
readings
way.
inside and
This
verify
is
that
a start.
everything is
This is
A-OK
you have to
and
start
free
and this is how
before we
start.
get ready to
We are
open
into
up the
model
hatches.
rocketry and we conduct workshops. We have events.
Yes, and
We are growing.
Instagram का link
From
जो
that
है आ
capture
चुका है chat में.
moment, which
Yes.
Pin
again
कर दिया जाए इसको.
was 5:31
Pin
a.m.
कर दिया जाए
Central,
and you can join us
6:31
there.
a.m. Eastern,
If
or the
you have
North
anything
Atlantic. It
to
takes
ask
roughly
us to
about 2
discuss,
hours
you
to get
can
everything
DM us.
pressurized and checked out before we open up the hatches and
That way, there's
welcome
you
in
can
Axiom
email
Mission
us. We have
4
an
to the
email.
International Space Station.
If you want to join this community, then basically just be active. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. We have 69 subscribers, which is nice. I don't want this number to move, but we need this number to move.
Yeah, we do. And this is just the third stream, and we already have 69 subscribers as of now.
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarge, I think we can stop. We are coming to an end. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time, I guess.
Yes.
SpaceX Dragon on the Big Blue.
Sarge,